I don't know if you guys know about these people, but they kind of made the media rounds not too long ago, like about, I think, a year or two ago, after they moved to Russia as an American family, a father, a mother, and a couple of kids, a couple of daughters, right? They moved to Russia, and what they tell the Russian media, which they put on state press broadcasted throughout all of Russia on the state media outlets, oh, we moved to Russia because the West is so woke, and we don't want our children exposed to the LGBT propaganda and all of that nonsense, and we want to raise them in a traditional country with traditional values. Now, before I'll put aside the fact that describing Russia as a traditional country is complicated, because it is true that they are against LGBT rights. That is true. The constant LGBT organizing centers being raided, the bars being raided, the complete lack of allowance of depictions of any positive living as a queer person, the just constant suppression, arresting of activists, arresting of anybody who displays LGBT inclinations on social media. I mean, I've seen like people get arrested literally just for being happy as a queer couple online in Russia. It's pretty bad. People have gotten deported over that for when people were visiting Russia, either on a visa or on some sort of tourism run. I don't know why you would visit Russia for touristic reasons unless you were secretly visiting somebody you were in a relationship with, which I've heard some reports of as well. But point is, it is true that it is, I would call backwards on that. They would call, I guess, based on that, because being exposed, being anti-woke means taking away the individual rights of the other. But Russia also has incredibly low church attendance rates. Russia also has a pretty bad drug problem, a notoriously bad alcohol problem. The amount of children that are born in Russia with fetal alcohol syndrome is scarily high. There are questions about moral failings of Russian society that, when you compare to the United States has higher church attendance rates. And I'm not trying to say going to church or not going to church determines whether you're a moral or not moral person. What I'm trying to say is, if you're fleeing the West because you want to go to somewhere that's more traditional and you go to Russia, is your traditionality more just about TikTok edits where you have like the president like horseback riding and they say we don't like the trans and J.K. Rowling shouldn't be bullied and all that? Or do you want something that's based in family living? There's also, of course, the question of, is it family values to go and attack the families of other nations, to leave their homes in ruin, to bring the war back home in the way that they have? Putting all that aside, though, all of that aside, it was a bit of a tangent. This family goes over there, they go for family living, and they vlog their experiences, that we're coming over here for traditional living. Now, they've talked about some of the difficulties of being over there, but recently, as times have gone on and they found it quite difficult for their family to get Russian citizenship, the husband of the family has decided to sign up in the Russian army. Here he is in all of his glory, proud and happy to sign up in the Russian army, supposedly as a welder. That's originally what was supposed to be the case, is that he was originally supposed to be brought in as a welder so they could learn, he could stay away from the front line, learn how to fix these vehicles, because he had 10 years of welding experience. That was his original plan, and he volunteered towards that goal. Well, apparently, things haven't ended up that way. And the wife is now complaining on social media that the things that they were told about the amount of control he would have once signing up with the Russian army, including going to a region specifically for a pay cut so he could have more control when signing up with the Russian armed forces, hasn't really panned out well. And that the amount of training that they said they wouldn't give, we won't do 3 weeks of training, we won't do 4 weeks of training and send them to the front. Well, it turns out that's what's happening. And so you know, I wanted to show you guys the result of what this family has dutifully and in the service of Russia, in service of their gaining the citizenship, and completely of their own free will, have done in moving themselves to Russia, and then jumping into this. By the way, I do want to show you, before we play the testimony from the wife, their intro music, so you get an idea of what they've decided to aim towards after moving towards Russia, the type of content they're producing. They have an AI generated song telling their family's story, as if this is some Indiana Jones style adventure that they've hooked their children into.
I do Jim start to start, and happy big family with big loving hearts. Start, mom and dad, 3 girls, and the dog barks, woof. Now Russia's our home, and we're living the truth. Huffman, together we stay. In Russia, the sun shines bright every day. Huffman, our son.
Kind of a jolting cut there, isn't it? But I mean, you know, AI has no soul. So this guy, he joins the Russian army, gets all camoed up. Now, this is the testimony his wife is putting forward. Lack of training, lack of promises kept, deceived about where he would be going, staying away from the front line. And they're very dissatisfied with their anti-woke Russian experience.
Okie dokie. So, unfortunately, I
Burns
getting a
is
little tired,
an
so I'm going to walk back.
morally corrupt,
But
bankrupt man.
as I'm walking back, I wanted to share a little bit about what's going on with Derek. When he signed up and had all of that done, he was told he would not be training for 2 weeks and going straight to the front lines, but it seems as though he's getting 1 more week of training and closer to the front lines, and then they are going to put him on the front lines. So we are all praying really hard that he could actually be utilized for his skills and not just be put as a fighter. Unfortunately, there was a few things not.
I just need to emphasize again, they have no connection to Russia. This is not a Russian emigre family that is coming back to Russia. This is not somebody with Russian roots. Like, they could be Polish for all I know, but I tried to find it, like, oh, we come descend from Ruski. No, they moved to Russia because they bought the hype about it being the traditional paradise that the government advertises. And the Russian government has been trying to get Americans to move there, trying to get conservative-minded people to move there and producing content to help them along that process. And they got some people, and now those people are getting dragged into the war. And for what traditional values? Is this war a war for traditional values? Is this existence one that's traditional? You know, being brought into the Russian army as a welder and then being hoisted along this process. God, man. I get this. All the thing that hurts about it is all of this could have been avoided if they just stayed home. Every single bit of it.
Quite done. That probably should have been done. And now we are just believing in God that everything is going to work out to the way it's supposed to. He signed up in Nizhny to get less money because he was told they would have more control. At first, they were trying to petition that he would be able to be more like news reporter, but like in the military, and being able to just like report what's going on, and just be able to like tell the world what's happening from his perspective and what he's seeing. And
Mr. Putin, look, okay, how about you give me a military salary and I'll make all the pro-Russia AI songs you can imagine, okay? Okay, it'll be great.
That was denied. So,
you know, the YouTube channel, military accreditation is good luck with that.
after the wait for all that, they then said that they would be able to put him in like a repair battalion because of his 10 plus years in welding and the experience for that. So he would actually be able to do that, and he would have the control to be able to be in a safer environment. But doesn't seem like that's happening, and the foreigners unit is still being taught in Russian, and he doesn't understand Russian very well, so he's kind of struggling a little bit with that, and not getting really any training, because unfortunately when you're taught in a different language and you don't understand the language, how are you really getting taught? You're not. So unfortunately, he feels like he's being thrown to the wolves right now, and he's kind of having to lean on faith, and that's what we're all doing. So we're gathering together and asking everybody to just pray that something can be done. We are
I'm sorry. I shouldn't. I don't know how to react. It's just so ridiculous. It's so ridiculous. They moved to Russia, and then in Russia, they find out it's actually quite difficult to get citizenship. And now moving to Russia, you know, trying to bring your assets from the States quite difficult because of all the financial restrictions, all the sanctions and stuff like that. You don't really speak the language, you know, and you're having difficulty learning it, and that kind of, you know, finds a layer of separation between you and your community. But with all the media attention, with everything that, you know, all the, you know, with your vlogging channel, you know, maybe you can make it work. Maybe you can, you know, this traditional living, and you then go and join the Russian army. They could have just stayed home. They could have just stayed in the United States, completely not learned about this war whatsoever, and just been a conservative family living in the hills and wherever they want. You want to live traditionally? You know what you do? You go live out in the rural countryside where nobody bothers you, and you can live however you want. You want to live however you want? Go away from the centers of governmental power. If the further away you are from law enforcement, the less you're going to be bothered. If you really want to just leave it to, I just don't want to be touched. I want my family to be raised XYZ way. You can do that. There are states where you can send your kids to private school. There are states where you can homeschool your kids if you want to teach them your own way. We have 50 whole states, none of them invading Ukraine, where you could have gone and raised your family traditionally. But then you see either some TikTok or some YouTube video or something that's like, Russia, very traditional, great, beautiful gold dome churches. And oh my gosh, look, we are not woke. We are not the gay. We don't practice the witchcraft. And it's, oh, well, you know, America be a lot of the gay lately, you know, America be pretty, I mean, they've been homoing out, you know. I don't know about that. I remember that, James. Remember that trans person that was on Bud Light? Guess I gotta move to Russia. Guess I can't just move to like whatever place in the United States where everybody would have agreed with me. I guess I gotta move to a totally other country where nobody speaks the language I speak, and I can't, and I'm not learning their language quite well. I gotta move over there for traditional values. Oh snap, living over here actually comes with problems. Oh, I wonder how those problems can be alleviated. Let's join the army. Wait, I still don't know Russian. Wait, I've never been in the armed forces before. Wait, all the tales they told me about the control I would have has ended up not being true. Wait, because I don't know Russian, I haven't learned at all. And you've gone from being completely empowered with a certain amount of individual rights given to you by birth in your home country in the United States, where you could have chosen to live however you wanted to if you just found your little acre of land and wherever you wanted. There's a whole, like, you know, beautiful, one of the many beautiful things about our country, you know, one of the many beautiful things about the Stars and Stripes. And you decide to come over here, create this problem for yourself, and now you're just praying that your husband, who he admits has got no military training, that he's just sitting there and hearing Tavarish, and it's just over, like, oh, Tavarish, what does that mean? It's like over and over and over, and he has no clue. He's not learning anything. He probably is like, okay, so I raised the gun, and okay, so you, and your solution is prayer. How much have they disempowered themselves? How much did they make themselves victims of propaganda? How much have they taken the chief breadwinner of the family, put them in the line of fire in combat, in a war they simply do not understand? And they've done it for what? For what purpose? For what achievement? I mean, look, death in war is a tragedy. To watch anyone bury themselves as somebody's daughter or son, and then you know, the pain that it causes, it's a tragedy, you know? It's very sad. But there's a certain amount of, you know, there's like a value that someone can be fighting for. There could be something that, you know, you're defending your home. You're fighting for something like a certain amount of freedom that you think your people desire. You're fighting like what was that quote from John Stuart Mill? I think I have it somewhere. Yes, right here, actually. War is an ugly thing, but not the ugliest of things. The decayed and degraded state of moral and patriotic feeling, which thinks that nothing is worth war, is much worse. The person who has nothing for which he is willing to fight, nothing which is more important than his own personal safety, is a miserable creature and has no chance of being free unless made or kept so by the exertions of better men than himself. John Stuart Mill. So, you know, war is awful, but there can be a purpose for which somebody picks up a rifle, right? You know, what was it that Grant said? I only advocated war as a means of peace, right? This man went to Russia because America too gay, and now he's about to run into the front line of the most violent war known to man, where creatures of death and destruction never seen wreaked upon other human beings before. FPVs that will outrun you every single time, for at every angle, when there's enough of them for each leg on your body. There's enough artillery fire to leave you shaking, enough grad fire to tear you to pieces, and enough drones to leave you baffled by their dominance in the sky 24/7. And he's going in there with no Russian language knowledge, virtually by his own mission, no training, after being deceived about what exactly he would be doing in the armed forces, like many, 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 many other foreigners. And it was completely his own doing. He could have just moved to Oklahoma. He could have just moved to Oklahoma, but he said, oh my God, my country is too gay. I gotta go join the Russian army. Doodly-doo. Sounds like an adventure. Come on, wife and 3 kids. Let's go to Let's go to Russia. Let's go to beautiful Murmansk so we can fight for this. It's just so tragic. And it's so ridiculous. I just can't, my body doesn't know how to react to it, honestly. Because it'd be one thing, like I read some stories and it's like somebody from Sudan who has nothing and their whole family, you know, is starving. And, you know, there's whatever amount of story that can be put out there that in your mind, you can be like, I understand why someone would become a mercenary. There's other people that quite frankly are of zero respect. And, you know, there's not any, they don't have a good justification. This is I would accept the justification of I like war. I enjoy fighting before I would accept the justification of my country too woke had to leave. Because at least in the earlier one, you're being honest with yourself. It's bad, but you're being honest with yourself. He could have just gone to Oklahoma. He could have just gone somewhere. He could have raised his kids in a traditional manner. Instead, he decided to drag them into all this nonsense. Bigotry will make you not only hurt those that are at the end of that bigotry, for example, queers, it will make you hurt the people around you if you let it control your life. My goodness.
Some public figures to hopefully help in politics and be able to make it to where he can be put where he could be used more efficiently. So while saying all of that, we are going to continue to walk back home, and let you all know a few things that have been going on. So I've been busy all week in the kindergarten and helping there. So unfortunately, I haven't been able to post a lot of videos. I'm sure y'all noticed. The little girls are at home sleeping because they stayed up all night long. And being a weekend, I figured let them just have a fun summer staying up a little late. And Sophia's at her friend's house, so they have been having a good time over there and learning a little bit of Russian and just making good connections and having a lot of fun. So very good stuff. All week they have been doing their Russian lessons with the teacher.
And the rest of it is just like a normal vlog. They went to Russia to vlog living in Russia, live traditionally, when they could have just gone to, again, like Montana, showed the pretty mountains behind them in the vlogs, and not had their father go off to war for a cause he doesn't understand and for personal reasons dumber than first imagined. Like, really, I thought maybe, like, at first looking, I thought maybe this guy would be like an ideological, like, I believe that the global order must be realigned through interstate war, and only through then can the racial no, he's not some like internet third worldist or I don't know, like I'm multipolar. No, he was just like, our country's too is too woke. We need to go fight. So yes, much dumber than first imagined. There's so much. If you want to go LARP, and there is so much cheap land. That is true. Sucks for this dude. Sucks for him. I don't know what to call this topic. I guess we'll call it an interesting topic.